Hey, what's up guys? It's DarkArmedDuelist and I just got first place at locals with branded Chimera and I'm really excited to show you guys this list. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So let's get straight on into the deck. So first off, we're going to be playing some really amazing cards in this deck. I have some super spicy tech cards. So we're going to start with 3 copies of Gazelle. Gazelle is an amazing card in this deck because if this card is normal or special, it lets you add a level 5 Fiend monster from your deck to your hand, or a copy of Chimera Fusion, which is just amazing. The main effect that I actually use on this card though is that if it's used as fusion material, it actually lets you add an illusion monster from your deck to your hand, which is an amazing effect about this card. We then played just 2 copies of Big Wing Baphomet. It's a little bit of a brick, but it's still an amazing 2 of in the deck because this card has a great ability that if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a level 4 beast monster and or Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, which is a crazy powerful effect because you can add cards like your copies of your Gazelle directly from your deck to your hand along with your copy of Chimera Fusion off that ability, which is crazy powerful just to instantly get to both those cards. Plus, the really cool thing about this card is if it's used as fusion material, you can actually special summon an illusion monster from your graveyard back to your side of the field, which is usually going to be your copy of Mirror Sword Knight. We then play 3 copies of Mirror Sword Knight. Mirror Sword Knight is an amazing 3-of. This card is a 1-card combo for the deck because it's basically like Lone Fire Blossom with a built-in negate, which is crazy about this card. It has the ability that when it's on your side of the field, you contribute it to special summon a monster from your deck that mentions a Chimera Fusion, which is a crazy powerful effect to instantly get your copy of Big Wing Baphomet on your side of the field, so you can get the search of Gazelle and Chimera Fusion off its ability, which is just really, really cool. It also has the ability while you control a Chimera, the flying mythical beast, which the new Chimera actually counts as while it's on the field. If you control that card, it actually has the ability to quick effect negate an opponent's monster's effect that they control by banishing this card from the field or the graveyard, which is a really awesome effect. We then play 3 copies of Cornfield Codal. This card is amazing. It searches your copy of your Mirror Sword Knight by discarding it to the graveyard, which is an amazing effect. It can search cards that mention Chimera Fusion, but let's be honest, you're usually searching Mirror Sword Knight off this card, which is just really, really cool. It also has targeting protection, which is really nice about this card while you have control Chimera, the flying mythical beast. We then play 2 copies of Edgem Chain. Edgem Chain is great in this deck to be able to play your Polymerization and your Ferrite for Patchwork in this build. I feel like these 2 are fine at 2. It also helps because it is a Fiend, because the new Chimera card just requires a beast and a fiend monster to make this card, so you can use this to be able to summon it out to your side of the field, which is amazing. Plus you get to search out a copy of Ferrite for Patchwork, which gets you a Polymerization and gets you a copy of another copy of Chain. Basically chains to chain. We then play 2 copies of Aluber. Aluber is really good because you can normal summon this card out to your side of the field to search Branded Fusion or a really spicy tech card I'm playing in the build, or even Branded Opening. And you can summon it off of Branded Opening, which is really good to be able to search Branded Fusion from deck to hand. But I do have another card in the deck that you can search off this card's ability. We then play 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz. This is just for Branded Fusion. I did actually normal summon this card one time and fuse away a field, which is really cool to be able to make Mirror Jade, which is just hilarious. It actually won me my 2nd round, which is really funny. And this card is just really good, especially comboed with Ridbrom, because Ridbrom can bring it back to your side of the field as a quick effect to be able to get this on the field. We then play a single copy of Kit, which is conveniently enough a level 4 beast, so you can get it with Big Wing Baphomet, which is crazy powerful, and it also searches out basically your branded cards, which is really, really good. I love that about this card. It's super, super helpful in the deck, and it's a crazy powerful card as a 1-of. We then play just 3 copies of Ash Blossom for the monster hand traps. I do have more hand traps in the deck, but just for the monster hand traps, I feel like 3 Ash Blossom is fine. And this card is just really good in the deck overall at stopping your opponent from touching the deck. So let's get into the spells because that's it for the monsters. So for the spells, the really spicy tech card is 1 copy of Branded in White. This is basically Miracle Fusion for your Fallen of Albaz, which is really cool about this card, that it basically lets you fusion away your Fallen of Albaz and the materials from the graveyard to be able to summon out a card from your extract, which is super cool to be able to do. I absolutely love this card in the deck. It's a crazy powerful tech card. And if you guys are not playing Branded in White, you should definitely give this card a try because it's like Miracle Fusion and you can search it off your copy of Kit. You can search it off of Aluber. This card is really, really good. We then play 2 copies of Polymerization. You guys know I had to get those dual terminal, really pretty ones to be able to play in this deck because I love this deck. This deck is so much fun. But this card is really good because it works with your copy of Guardian Chimera to make it so it can't be targeted, which is just really good about that card. And I love this in the deck to help you just get that protection while also having additional fusion spells in the build. Play 2 copies of Patchwork. Patchwork's great in the deck as well because you can activate this, add an Edge Imp, and add a Poly from deck to hand, which is just going to get you so much advantage because if your opponent stops the Chimera Fusion, you can always get to your copy of Poly instead. We then play 3 copies of Chimera Fusion. You must play 3. This card is so important in the deck. It has the ability that lets you, during the main phase, specifically the main phase, you can flip this face up as a quick effect because it is a quick play spell to be able to fusion summon, or you can just activate this card like a Polymerization during your turn, but since it's a quick play spell during the main phase, you can set and flip it during the opponent's turn to go into Guardian Chimera. If you guys have ever played Branded, it's basically like Branded in red, but in my opinion a little bit better because it doesn't banish the materials, but it also adds itself back from graveyard to hand if you control Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast, which is just super good. We then play 3 copies of Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion is really good in this deck because it helps you go in for cards like Mirror Jade, Rid Braum, all those really good cards. This card helps you step into those. We play 3 copies of Branded Opening. I really like this card in the deck because it gives you protection from destruction of your fusion monsters for card effects. It also gives you the ability to special summon a Luber directly from the deck by just discarding a card. It helps you get stuff engraved. This card is just amazing in the deck as a 3-of, just to help you get where you're going while also being a little bit of ash bait because if you activate this card, and it does happen, you'll activate this card and then your opponent will ash it and then you'll go, so anyways, normal summon Mirror Sword Knight. And then you just go off. So this is just like 2 engines running at the same time in the deck, which is super cool. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization in the main. This card outs literally everything, which is why I play this card as a 3-of. This is like one of the best board breakers in the game right now. We play like 3 different targets that we're going to get to in the extra deck, which is these 3. And you have a bunch of other cards that you can step into with this card. And this card just helps you just break boards. It helps you against Unchained. It helps you against the Hot Red Dragon, King Calamity. It helps you against a bunch of different stuff. Crimson Dragon. It's just amazing. Like, this card is just so good in this deck, and it helps you out just so many different plays, which is why I play it, while also giving you a body on your field as well, which is really nice. Plus, you can even use it, like, if you're playing against Branded, this card can come up and help you make even more monsters, which is really nice, especially if they normal summon like an Albaz. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. That's the only trap that you're going to need in this deck. This card is really good because comboed with your copies of Ash, this card is just going to help you out overall because this is all the hand traps you need in the main, really, because you can draw into the deck very deep to be able to draw out these hand traps to be able to activate against your opponent. This is really good because it stops your opponent from touching the deck, and this is really good because it stops your opponent's monster effects. I have considered, and this is something that's really interesting about Infinite Impermanence, because Infinite Impermanence is really good, but I have considered dropping it for Effect Veiler. It worked really good today, but this card could be a monster, which is why I did consider dropping it for Veiler, but I ended up just playing this, and it did come up to lock down spell and trap card columns, but that is an option for you guys if you want to. If you want a more budget option for the deck, you can change it out for your copies of Effect Veiler, which gives you another option to play in the deck as an additional monster that you can use to step into other cards. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Chimera, the King of Phantom Beasts. This card counts as Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, while in the field, and I believe while in the graveyard as well. While in the graveyard as well. And this card is crazy because the turn it's summoned, you during the end phase rip a card out of your opponent's hand and they send it to the graveyard. That's really good. It gives you so much advantage. It makes your opponent start with 1 less card and instantly outs a card without them even activating it. And like, just think about it this way. If your opponent hits you with like a hand trap and then you use this, you got 2 cards out of their hand already. So they're starting with like 4 cards with their draw card, which is really big for us because you can hit combo pieces that they really need in their hand off of this. And it was a really big play, especially when I got my opponent into a top decking situation. I would or not a top decking situation. They have like 1 card left in hand, and I would summon this and rip that 1 card out of their hand, and they wouldn't be able to play anymore because I would get it out of their hand, and the following turn I just OTK. Plus, this card has a crazy ability that during the opponent's turn, you can banish it from the graveyard, and when you do, you get to special summon back a Beast, Fiend, or Illusion monster from your graveyard to your side of the field, but you can only use that ability during your opponent's turn. We then play a single copy of Chimera, the Illusion Beast. I never made this. I never made this card. It's a good card in theory, but it doesn't come up all that often to be able to OTK your opponent with this card, and it's really good because you basically just make this dude and then swing into a monster, drop it to 0, and then swing multiple times depending on the amount of monsters that you put into it. But there was never really an opportunity with the decks that I played against to make it and then just OTK. I thought I was going to make it at one point against like a Rescue Ace player, but it just didn't come up. We then play 2 copies of Guardian Chimera. This is the MVP of the deck and pretty much is the boss monster of the deck because this card has the ability when it's fusion summoned, you have to use monsters from your hand and your field to make this card. And when you do, you basically draw cards equal to the amount of cards that you put into it from the hand, and you pop cards on your opponent's side of the field equal to the amount of cards that you put on the field into it, which is really good. Plus, it has the ability that polymerizations in the graveyard, it can't be targeted, which is a really big effect. You want to make sure you get your polymerization in the graveyard ASAP if you're summoning out this card. We then play 2 copies of Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is just board removing, which is really nice, especially against like Unchained, stuff like that. This is really good to be able to just banish their cards. 1 copy of Lubellion and 1 copy of Albion. The extra deck is very, very, very tight. This is really big to be able to just play 1 each. This is really good to send to grave. You actually do make the copy of the Lubellion. I rarely make Albion in this deck because Albion is just really good at sending to grave so I can get branded in white from the deck, which is just really amazing to be able to send it to grave off of Mirror Jade and grab either Branded Opening, Branded Fusion, or your copy of Branded in White. You can add any of those cards from the deck to the hand off the copy of the Albion, which is really good. And I love that about this card that it's so powerful that it gets you to any of those cards. We then play, this is my spicy tech card of the deck. We play a single copy of Masquerade. This is my time card. This literally won me a match because you can summon this to your side of the field, and every time your opponent breathes, they take 500. As you guys know, Flare Metal is one of my favorite cards to be able to play in the game. So this is definitely a 1-of in the extract because it just makes your opponent, like if they breathe, they're taking damage. At one point, I burned an opponent for like almost 6,000 damage in one duel with this card because I made it turn 1. But if you go into game 3, you automatically make this card and you win in time. We then play a single copy of Ridbrom. Ridbrom is amazing as well because Ridbrom is a walking negate. Plus, you can bring back Albaz to your side of the field during the opponent's turn, which is really big. Play a single copy of Magnum the Reviver. I think I made this card 1 time. It's a draw and a pop, which is nice. Then for the super poly targets and the other cards we're playing a single copy of Dracostapelia. Dracostapelia is really nice as a 1-of because it's a walking negate. And then we play a single copy of Mud Dragon and Garua. These are also really good as super poly targets, and that's pretty much it for those cards. So let's go ahead and take a look at the side deck, guys. I have some really spicy tech cards in this side deck for you guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. So for my side deck, I was playing against a bunch of just like really powerful decks, but I'm really excited to show you guys this because I had some really spicy stuff. So we're going to start off with 2 copies of the multi-dimensional kaiju. Funny thing, you can side this in going first or going second. I know that that sounds really weird because like you want this going second to be able to just kaiju over something, but it's a fiend. So you can use it to summon out your copy of the Chimera, the King of Phantom Beasts, because it just requires any fiend to summon it. So this card is just really, really good in the deck to be able to just throw against the opponent, and you can also use it as a fusion material for anything that you want. So we're then also playing 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. This is just for back row removal. I didn't have the room for the Feather Duster, but this is just really, really big. We're playing 2 copies of Trap Trick. There's actually a trap that I play in the side deck that you guys have probably already seen, but it's really crazy. And that's 3 copies of EEV. So you guys might be looking at this and going, whoa, EEV. What a surprise. But you have a lot of darks in the extra deck. Like Dracostapelia is a target for it. Ridbrom is a target for it. A Masquerade is. Albion if you do summon it. Mirror Jade, which is the main target that you use, but Guardian Chimera is the main one that you use with it to be able to tribute. You can even use the, like you wouldn't, but you can use the Chimera Illusion Beast to be able to do it. But the really big thing is you're basically playing this card at 5. Like you're literally just playing EEV at 5 by doing this, which is really big to be able to flip against like a Runic player, flip against like Unchain, call Trap, flip it against Kashira, call Spell, like anything. This is just big. Go against Pearly, call Spell, they lose. This is just really, really big to be able to drop against the opponent. Plus at 5 in the deck, like it's super easy to go off if you go first. You just got to know your matchup to be able to drop this card, but it's really powerful, and it's a really, really big card to be able to drop against your opponent. We then also play 3 copies of Evenly Matched. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I really don't like back row. With the Evenly Matches, the EEVs, and the copies of Cosmic. I didn't have the room for Feather Duster. I was going to put a Feather Duster in here, but I felt like I didn't want the Feather Duster compared to like Cosmic, because the Cosmic could just banish it. And then finally, for the last 3, I'm also playing 3 copies of D-Barrier. This card is crazy because depending on the matchup, if you activate this, they lose. They literally just lose because you activate this card, you call whatever you're playing against, you know the matchup, and in game 2 you flip it and you win. Or game 3 you flip it and win, depending on if you're going first or second, but this is really big. So that's it for the deck. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Chimera is one powerful deck. This deck is super fun to be able to play. I absolutely love the play style of it. It's only going to get better because as we get more illusion monsters, the deck is going to get even crazier. So it's amazing that I got like first place with this deck, with the first wave of support that this deck has gotten, especially with all the spicy tech cards I had throughout this one for you guys. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.